Dude, Witcher 3 is so pretty on PC. Like, it's not
Are you
pretty
playing
on
on PC?
console. No, not at the moment.
No. Well, you made a
It's
mistake
not
then.
pretty on console, but it's way prettier on PC.
Oh
Alright,
yeah.
so it's us. We're doing it. I'm Geralt of
And welcome to
Rivia.
Woefully.
It's Woefully Underprepared, episode 11. So this week, we're raw dogging it,
Double
dude.
one,
I have
11
literally not a single story, because there is literally nothing, because it was Christmas, like, this week, and it's like New Year's next week.
Yeah, and we don't even really know what's happening next. Like, in the next, there's nothing happening.
I think the only like actual news I've read was that Deadpool 3 is going into production with like the full team behind them at like Marvel and shit.
Nice.
Which
Did
is
not hear
like
about this.
okay. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's kind
is
of.
that
I mean,
is that
that's,
really news?
It's not really news. That's not news. That was going to happen anyway. We already knew that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So most of this episode will be going over. We'll do like episode by episode of the Witcher Netflix show, all 8 episodes, and it will be. We'll probably start with like sort of 150 characters, our impressions, spoiler free, and then we'll go into deep spoilers about each episode.
Dude, I don't
and
remember
we'll
any
redo
of the
episode 1 and
episodes.
2 because there are things that I noticed second time around
All right.
that I think are pretty important.
I'm just looking it
But
up so I know what's happening.
before we go
on
into
the
that, I've seen Rise of Skywalker. You haven't.
show. No
So-
spoilers.
No spoilers, but sort of 140 words. My thoughts are that it is a better Star Wars film than Last Jedi. Not a better film, but a better Star Wars film.
Okay, so you think people will like it more? You think it's pandering more to the Star Wars audience?
I don't think it's necessarily pandery, I just think it's a better Star Wars film.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I
that's
think,
fair.
like, honestly, like, the entire time I was, like, sitting in the cinema, kind of waiting for it to fall apart. And it just kind of doesn't. Like, right from the jump, it's kind of silly. Like, there are some things in it that are, like,
yeah, I think
that's a
playing
little
the silly
dumb.
around is probably a better idea.
Oh, shit. Yeah, like, right from the jump, there are things in it that, like, that's a little silly and I don't necessarily like. But also, it's a movie about space wizards, so, like, I'm kind of indifferent towards it. And there are certain elements about the ending that I don't like. Like, 99% of the ending is fine. There are just certain things that I think were kind of like, why? Like,
Yeah. Does it set up
was
the next
done.
film?
It was no.
The next
There
saga.
is not a next film in the Star Wars in the Skywalker saga.
Oh,
I mean, it does in the sense that it has like a broad opening, but it's not like, and this is what we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
It's more just like
Look,
this
I was
is where
I
we
was
leave
kind of
the
hoping
universe.
for Ahsoka to come back. I don't know if that happens. I think a lot of people were.
I tell you that it does not. Actually, it might. Yeah.
All right, that's very vague. That's some Jason Blundell.
I don't know.
stuff.
There are
But
some.
Let's get
there's
into
a
more.
particular sequence that I might. You would need to rewatch very carefully because she might be in it, but I could be wrong.
All right.
But yeah, once you've seen it, we'll go into more detail about the things I liked and things I didn't like. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I have thoughts on. I saw a lot of people say that like it spends like 45 minutes of its runtime shitting on Last Jedi, which I don't think is at all the case. I think the few times that it calls back to Last Jedi, if anything, doubles down on the ideas of Last Jedi, just in a slightly more Star Warsy manner.
Yeah,
All right,
which is fine.
so that's
how you.
Rise of
Just, like, having a
Skywalker said
weird
and done. I think ultimately
issues.
it's fine. It's good fun. I enjoyed watching it. I think it's a better Star Wars film than Last Jedi. I don't think it's a better film though.
No, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's start with
So, Witcher.
episode 1 of The Witcher.
So yeah, so last week we talked about episode 1 and 2. We're gonna go back over episode 1. Actually, scratch that. Thoughts on the series as a whole. 150.
I think it was
140 characters. Go.
all right. I think it was a very good representation of what The Witcher is. Like like I've only played the games, and I've only played a little bit of 2, very small amount of 2, quite a bit of 1 so far. I'm about 5-6 hours in it, and I've finished Witcher 3, aside from Blood and Wine, and it captures that feeling perfectly. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, but I feel like it is very Witcher. Like if there was any word for it, it would be Witcher.
Yeah,
And
like I like it. I think it's pretty good. I think the first season is, if anything, it leaves you wanting more. Like I wouldn't have minded like a 10 or 12 episode season. The first season is only 8 episodes.
well, it's based on the 2 books, isn't it?
It's based on just Last Wish, and I don't even think it covers everything in Last Wish. Like the raid.
Oh, no, it's based on
Riven's in it. That's what happens in the season finale.
I think it's based on Sword of Destiny as well.
Geralt fights a space dragon with eyes.
Yeah, it's based on Sword of Destiny.
You completely missed the joke I was making, but that's okay.
No, I wasn't. It was probably a funny joke.
It was not a funny joke.
Yeah, it's based on Sword of Destiny as well.
Oh, it is, and it's very I think the major drawback that people will have is that it sort of it doesn't necessarily tell a linear story.
No, but I think that kind of works near the end. Like,
yeah, I think
it kind of comes together.
I think there are certain character dynamics that exist towards the end that you empathize with more because you understand where they began.
Yeah, especially if you've played Witcher 3 before reading any of the books. Like when we get into the first
also,
book,
I read a synopsis of I think I want to say it was Last Wish, but it must have been Sword of Destiny. And I know things that I wish I didn't know, essentially.
Oh. Alright, we can talk about that privately,
I won't
mention
them to you, because I think the show is better off you not knowing them.
Yeah.
But it is almost like a one-to-one adaptation of Sword of Destiny and Last Wish, or Sword of Destiny, rather.
Yeah.
Alright, so...
let's start with episode 1.
Come on.
Episode 1 starts.
Or do you want to do your thoughts? I think. Well, I guess you kind of walked.
I mean, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
That it's good, and I think if you're into high fantasy, you should watch it. I've seen a lot of people like real mad about it. That think it's really bad. I don't know
why it's mad.
And I don't understand that opinion. Like, I don't think there's anything in it that is so offensively bad.
It has a 53% Metacritic score, which is very interesting.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think there's anything in it that's so offensively bad that it would prompt me to ever consider it being awful. I know everyone gave, I want to say it was, the Hollywood Reporter, or no, Entertainment Weekly, I think it was.
Yeah, they
a lot of people gave them shit because their paid reviewer only watched like episode 1, episode 2. And then they skipped ahead to episode 5, and that was the last one they watched, and then they had the audacity to call it awful. And it's like, you, by all means, call the show awful, but at least have an informed opinion, which is not something that you do.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Apparently a lot of people are like, it's super woke, and I'm like, is it though? Is it really?
It's not really, it's just kind of, it's exactly what you should be expecting. It doesn't really matter who's playing who. I'm kind of glad that they kind of stuck with Ciri and Geralt kind of looking the same as in the games, because that's kind of...
I figured out why Henry Cavill's accent or like the voice that he puts on annoys me so much, or why it like distracts me so much.
Honestly, I think it sounds almost the same as the Geralt.
It does, but have you ever seen Henry Cavill in an interview?
Yes, he sounds nothing like it. It's really,
no, see, that's my issue. Is that when he's putting on an American accent, you don't notice it because that's so divorced from what he naturally sounds like. But this is close enough to what he actually sounds like that it creates this kind of uncanny valley effect.
Yeah,
where it's like you know he's putting on a voice.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was about his voice.
I was not. I was not a fan.
Yeah, but anyway, ends beginning.
Yeah, so it starts with
We're not going into spoilers too much. Just to
I mean,
begin with,
I'm happy to spoil all of it. I don't care.
Okay, we're spoiling. We're spoiling. All right, this is the
This is
Butcher
like
of Blaviken
from
episode.
here to the end is spoilers. I honestly don't understand why they didn't just call it the Butcher of Blaviken.
I don't. It's probably based on like the name of the chapter from The Last Wish, or the Sword of Destiny, or whichever one it's from. I imagine the name of the chapter is called The End's Beginning, instead of Butcher of Blaviken. But Butcher of Blaviken would have been a better name.
Yeah, because that's sort of what the episode's all about, and it is almost like a direct one-to-one
Thanks.
riff off of the like Butcher of Blaviken setup in the books with like Renfrey and Stregobor and the shenanigans. I think honestly,
it was
like
very cool.
The
first
actually
action sequence?
something that I noticed coming through it the second time is that Renfrey mentions to Geralt when they're talking in the woods. I think the second time, maybe the first time, is that Queen Kalantra of Sintra has just won the battle at Hodge Pass, and then Ciri says when they're in the dinner that she was Ciri's age at that moment when she won her first battle at Hodge Pass.
Okay.
Which speaks to the divorced
that.
nature of the timelines. And I honestly think you wouldn't notice it unless you were going through it again.
Yeah. Because it was when you figured out where the timelines kind of figured, like, it took me a while to get the timeline straight.
Well, I think Yennefer's timeline is starts the earliest.
Yes, because she's like 300 years old by the time she meets Geralt.
I don't think she's 300 years old, but she's old.
She's 300 years old by the end of the story, I think. She says she's lived 3 lifetimes. Oh, I don't know how old 3 lifetimes is.
She says she's lived 3 lifetimes.
medieval.
That doesn't necessarily mean she's 300 years old.
I imagine that's closer to about 150. But still. She's old in Witcher 3. She's very old in Witcher 3. But so is Geralt.
Yeah, Geralt's like nearly a century.
Yeah. But yeah, so the first episode, awesome. It was really cool
I thought it was
like,
it was a
this
really
is
good
Butcher
setup
of
for
Blaviken.
like the world. And I think the fact that they have Geralt's story that's kind of a little bit slower and has a little bit more pace to it, and then they have Ciri's story, which is like right from the word go, it's like shit's going down, people are dying, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think
you figure out what the
choreography for
what is?
like the Butcher of Blaviken fight scene was surprisingly good.
It was okay.
It was very like
It was
one
slow
dude at
and
a
it
time,
wasn't like.
but
yeah.
it was still like
But that
very
kinda
sort of
gets-
aggressive and brutal.
It wasn't like the best choreography of all time, but later on in the series, I think the choreography gets way better. I'll talk about that in I think it's the next episode. No, it's the episode afterwards. But yeah.
And like I think his one-on-one with Renfrey, where they're like, there's no sort of, they don't just get one killing blow. They like slowly sort of chip away at each other. I think that's very true to form of like how sword fights actually worked.
Yeah, and Witcher it's the same where, actually I want to talk about this later, but yeah. I was a fan of the first episode. I was like, yes, this is the Butcher of Blaviken episode. This is cool. I'm absolutely about this. I want to know why he's the Butcher of Blaviken, because I never knew that. I knew he killed a lot of people in Blaviken. That's all I kind of knew. But yeah, second episode.
Yeah,
which
so
is
the
about
second
Yennefer.
episode is mostly like I guess the primary through theme in the second episode is about Yennefer and her introduction to like Aretusa and the world of magic. Actually, something I realized because my brother pointed it out to me is that the person who plays whatever her mentor's name is Tasaya, she voices Anna Henrietta. Oh my god, I can't speak. Anna Henrietta in the Blood and Wine expansion. For this video.
That's interesting. That's really cool, actually. That they're bringing in other people from the game to come do it.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
a lot of the, I was just like I was looking through the soundtrack for it, and a lot of the soundtrack is the same, either made by the same composer or just the same soundtrack. I can't pronounce the composer's name because it's like very Polish.
Like Icelandic or Polish, yeah.
Like, go and look it up
There you go.
Tell me how to pronounce that.
Yeah, no, let's not worry about that. But he's cool, he did a good job. Or she, I imagine it's...
I'm pretty sure he's a dude.
Yeah,
I think
I've heard
he's a dude.
before.
Honestly, I'm not entirely convinced, though.
Yeah, the kind of thing where Yennefer kind of grows up to hate herself, it makes way for the Yennefer that you kind of know in Witcher 3. Like, I was feeling bad for choosing Triss in Witcher 3 because of this episode and the episode afterwards. I think it was the episode after that.
It's the episode after that's where she undergoes her transformation.
Yeah, where she becomes Yennefer, the immortal. But yeah, she's
becomes a person.
Yeah, not a hunchback.
Yeah, not a hunchback. I think it was really good that her that sort of nothing about her performance kind of changes post the actor's performance post becoming a hunchback. What? Fucking, I don't know. Oh, sort of after she's
a hunchback.
Or like once she's no longer a hunchback and she's like beautiful and the Yennefer we all know and love kind of person. Like she still kind of has the same speech cadence and the same sort of like she's the same person. She just looks very different. I thought that was kind of important to Yennefer's story.
Yeah, and her story kind of like.
And I honestly think she has the best story in the show. I think Ciri's story doesn't really go much of anywhere.
Ciri's story is just like a means to an end. It's more like a MacGuffin.
I think it definitely has sort of important moments where she learns about like the fallible nature of her grandmother and all the assumably bad things that she did.
But she doesn't really grow as a character, really. In those...
I mean, I think the seeds are planted for her to become someone new. And like Geralt basically doesn't really change.
No, but he's had 1,000 years to do like that's kind of the point of The Witcher, right? That he can't. He doesn't have emotion. He doesn't have these things that allow him to change.
I mean, Witchers do have emotion.
They don't show it though. That's the point, right?
Yeah, like that's, and they're not exactly trying to I guess, sort of break down the rumor that they don't have emotion because it very much serves their purpose.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you just want money, right? Well, then here you go. But Geralt's kind of the good guy, right? And I want to talk about I think this is the episode as well where we meet Jaskier. Yeah. Yeah,
Jaskier, who for some reason isn't Dandelion.
No, that's the same person.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Dandelion's real name. It's Jaskier.
Really? I thought Dandelion's real name was Dandelion.
No, 1 second. I'll Google it for you. I'll give you his really full name, which is really long. But I might not be able to... It's Julian Alfred Pancratz, Viscount de Lettenhall. And he's also known as Jaskier.
Alright, fair enough. I stand corrected. Because I was like... I mean, honestly, that was like my only problem with the character. It was like, why aren't you just Dandelion?
Yeah.
But I guess if he is just Dandelion, it's fine.
I don't know what he's called in the books. I imagine he's just called Dandelion.
Yeah, and that's where we get introduced to Geralt's theme that I've literally had stuck in my head all week. Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Yeah, it's such a good song. I don't know why.
It's like not even really that good of a song.
It's not. It's
like
not the
really
greatest
catchy.
song. But it's like, yeah.
And Geralt meets Filavandrel.
Oh, that's the elven dude, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the king of the elves, Philevangel of the White Towers, who became Philevangel of the End of the World.
Yeah,
and they
that
have
doesn't
like.
really go too far. It's just like a little side.
I mean,
story
it's basically
plot.
just like sort of shore up Geralt's like moral compass, I guess.
Yeah, which is kind of what all of this is about. It's about defining Geralt's moral compass, about saying that there is no such thing as lesser and greater evil. That is just kind of what you decide.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And also that
Geralt kind of sticks to it as well. He doesn't actually choose.
Doesn't necessarily believe in destiny.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I think we also meet, I think his name is Dara. He's the elf.
Yeah, the elf that we don't know is an elf until later on.
Later on, which doesn't really...
And then Ciri meets that family
really
that the dwarf stabs to death when Nilfgaard attack a camp of...
Was that a dwarf?
Yeah.
I thought it was the halfling. I don't know what they're called.
A hobbit?
No, not a hobbit. But there's like... What's Doodoo? What is Doodoo? He's a Doppler.
He's a Doppler. No, the Doppler comes in later. And he's a
real Doppler. Oh yeah, I was about him. I was like, oh, is this Doodoo? But it's not Doodoo.
It's definitely not Doodoo.
Yeah, it's definitely not Doodoo. I can tell you that right now.
Go.
Yeah, it doesn't say anywhere in the synopsis here. It doesn't matter, really. But yeah, that was a really good episode. I liked meeting Yennefer. I like seeing...
Yeah, it was, as I say, it was really good to see, like, sort of an extent... Because not even in the books do you ever really get that extended of a backstory of Yennefer. And as I say, I think Yennefer's emotional arc, and as much as I have my sort of issues with it, as I think it's designed for you to have your... Like, I don't think you're supposed to agree with what Yennefer does and the lengths she goes to. I think you're supposed to agree with Geralt.
Yeah. You're supposed to be like, this is not a good idea.
But you're still supposed to, like, empathize and understand where Yennefer is coming from, and a lot of what she does in the series basically exists to facilitate that.
Yeah. And we have Freya Moon, which is the episode where Yennefer and Istrid meet. No, they don't meet in this episode. They meet in the last episode.
Yeah, that's
like,
where the episode opens with them banging, and Yennefer
she makes them. She does magic where like an audience and everyone's clapping at the end, and I'm like, what is going on here?
I was look, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And then her and Istrid.
He comments on it later, going, "This is." I like that touch where they clap at the end. I'm like, why?
Yeah, and then her and Istrid have a falling out because it turns out that Istrid has been reporting to Stregobor about her, and she's been reporting to Sayre about Istrid, and everyone's mad, and they say some things that they then grow to regret. And then Yennefer, she wanted to get assigned to Ardern,
but she got assigned to the Nilfgaardians
instead. She gets assigned to the Nilfgaardian Empire, so she conspires to have that changed, and she also undergoes her transformation and becomes beautiful. While Geralt, on the other hand, is dealing with a story actually almost directly from the books. And I think in Witcher 1, when you go to Vizima...
That's like exactly the same.
No, you'll go to Vizima and you'll meet that princess. Like post.
Oh, you're talking about Ada? Yeah. I haven't gone that far yet. I'm like just outside Vizima. But yeah, the cutscene at the beginning of the game is the same. Like, there's so many similarities to the story to the show, where like he has the chain, he puts the chain around her, and he gets inside the tomb, Quen's it. I think it's Quen. I imagine it's Quen. Whatever. I don't know if Quen is a
I thought
canon
it was Yarden, but it's whatever.
Doesn't matter. He's shut that tomb.
I mean, he throws magic at people. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this to my brother when we were watching it together today, that I don't understand the juxtaposition that they're trying to draw between, or like Geralt fighting the Striga is cut in between with Yennefer's transformation. I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand the like editorial choice there. Like, usually when you do that, it's because the two stories complement each other.
Yeah, I imagine it has something to do with the fact that Geralt's fighting an abortion.
And she's like
and Yennefer
fighting
can't
to become
have
not...
a kid.
Yes, yeah. My brother posited that maybe it's something to do with like, you know, love or like children
and birth and all that stuff. But I don't. Yeah, it is something there.
Or like overcoming
just
curses and things like that.
I imagine it might be just fan service because that cutscene is so cool in Witcher 1. And just like.
But as I say, like the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't necessarily understand why this is happening. I don't really care. It's just sort of like, as an aspiring film student, it was something that I noticed, or a film student, it was something that I noticed.
Yeah. But yeah, and we also meet Triss, which you told me.
Yeah, and we meet Triss. I told you that Triss didn't exist. Geralt's relationship with Triss doesn't exist.
No. Yeah, you're right. You're right there. Because that's all about his memory disappearing. All that stuff.
Yeah, which is an entirely a CDPR invention.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think after this is where
And Yennefer actually meets Foltest as a kid in that like dance hall banquet thingy.
Yeah, I didn't see him, but I should have.
Yeah, her mother tells him to like stop messing around with his sister or whatever it is.
Oh, that's funny.
They're both like very young as well.
Yeah, that's funny because
then they bang.
I mean, yeah, because then they bang and then she dies and then she has an abortion, a dead abortion, very dead, living abortion. His Witcher is messed up.
Yeah, I like how sort of Geralt's not, you know, his fights with monsters aren't like clean, and they're sort of like, as you say, like he throws a train around this trigger and this trigger breaks it, and he's like, fuck.
Yeah, but that also happens in the cutscene. He also uses a dude as bait. I think it's Ostrit in the show. I think that's his name, but he uses someone else. He might use the same person in the game cutscene, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh man, it's just about to happen. He also takes the potion and his eyes turn black, which is also cool about that.
Yeah, I saw people having issues with like that specifically, that like his like look when he's like under the effects of potions was like, if it doesn't really matter. And I thought it was very clever that they shot it all very dark, so that you can't tell that the CGI is probably pretty garbage. Even though the production value for the show, I imagine, is very high, which is probably why it's only 8 episodes.
I imagine it'll get higher in the next season. The fact that it did so well.
I mean, as far as I can tell, fan consensus is pretty good. It's just
8 on Metacritic.
Critic consensus is not great for whatever reason.
Yeah, critics, I think, are just trying to be they're trying to get clicks. That's kind of my issue. Like, why would you only watch 3 episodes? That's sort of
like that that review needs to be taken down, and whoever wrote it needs to have a stern talking to from their head editor.
They need to be,
because that's ridiculous.
That's not journalism. Look, I'm not a journalist, but I'm just gonna say that right now.
That is not journalism. Yeah. That is bad journalism.
And Ciri like gets hypnotized or something, and she walks into the forest of.
Again, that's a thing from the books.
I don't know what happened there. I don't really know what's going on there, and I thought I would know more,
the thing with the eels in Aretuza, where Yennefer
still don't know what's going on there.
As I say, I've seen that episode 3 times now, I think, and I still don't really get it. I think it's because they're not cut out to be mages, but they're still conduits, so they're still like powerful. So by putting them in the water, they power Aretuza.
Yeah. So what I thought is that they were just basically like, you know how they have to use life to create magic. I thought maybe they just use the eels to create magic, and they all had access to this like conduit.
the thing that I'm looking for. I found it. I'm the best. Yeah, so the next episode is where, I guess, canonically, Geralt meets Queen the Queen of Sintra, whatever her name is. I keep wanting to call her Calanetta, but that's definitely not her name. Calanetta
Calente
is...
and Pavetta.
Yeah.
And Pavetta is Cyrilla's mother. And
yeah, and that's when he becomes...
Dunny.
Yeah. And so it's like a betrothal thingy, and I think is this where you say the choreography gets a lot better?
Yeah, I like the ballroom fight. I liked it a lot because it wasn't like one at a time. It was an actual fight. It felt like an actual fight.
Yeah, and again, this is almost like a direct ripping from what happens in the books.
Yeah. But yeah,
is that
we meet
Dunny
Amir.
and Pavetta run off together and get married and yada yada yada, and then
well, they don't
Geralt
really
calls...
run off together.
No, they don't. But and then Geralt calls Law of Surprise to claim, and turns out Pavetta's pregnant with Ciri. So technically speaking, Ciri is his child. Then there's some nonsense about Destiny. Actually, something I didn't know. I noticed again in the second time is when Mousex speaks to the Queen of Sintra as she's like dying in the first episode. I didn't realize that she said anything to him, like when she just whispers to him right before she dies.
Mm-hmm.
She says he's in the gatekeep.
Oh, so it's not the same thing that she said in the later episode. So I'm pretty sure she said something else, didn't she?
No. When like after the battle, she like in the first episode, she's come back, she's dying, and like the like Sintra's being besieged and everything, and everyone's it's all bad duty. And she calls Mousesack over to her, and she whispers in his ear, "He's in the gatekeep." And then he runs off, and then comes back and says he's not there anymore. And then she tells Ciri to go and find Geralt of Rivia. Right?
Yeah.
In the first episode, I didn't realize she said anything to him.
No, she did. She did. I knew that.
But then in a later episode where Geralt comes back to Ciri, it's faint, but if you put subtitles on, you'll see it. And then in the later episode where Geralt comes back for Ciri after events conspire, that's where he ends up, and then he escapes, and then you sort of learn what they were all talking about. It's great.
Yeah. But yeah, we have we've Dunny.
Yeah, and
Pretty
that's when
cool.
we get introduced to the like idea of
Curses.
Of
Law of Surprise.
Like Ciri's power and stuff.
Oh,
or like when we sort of
or whatever
truly...
the Elder Blood is called.
It's like it was described to me as like it's source magic.
It's called the source.
That, like,
that's what Cirilla is called. She's called a source.
Yeah,
because she's
in
the
that
source
it's passed down by blood, whereas like Yennefer's type of magic isn't, and it's like she has very specific abilities, whereas Yennefer is just a conduit for all power.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to read the books now, which is annoying, but I'm fine.
And
with it,
the dude from Skellige who's married to the Queen of Sintra even mentions.
Right?
No, even mentions the other dude, the one who's married to.
Yeah.
Calante even mentions the Wild Hunt.
Yes, I did notice that, which
I don't
cool.
think I don't think the Wild Hunt will be a thing till like the last season.
Yeah, but I'm about the Wild Hunt. I mean, they mentioned the White Frost, or they called it the White Cold. Yeah, it's the similar. But yeah, I was about meeting Emir. I didn't know that Emir was Dunny first. That was interesting.
All right, yeah, because that's what I had spoiled for me. I was like, man, I wish I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows that.
I didn't, and I was sad.
I knew that before the episode. I knew that because I googled Emir, and I was like, oh, he's Dunny. And that's what I think last week. I was like, oh, I know something that you don't about Dunny. And Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of
good.
like the way they talk about Amir is sort of like they continually refer to him as the White Flame, and it's never like overtly clear whether or not like the White Flame is actually like a person or just sort of an idea.
Because I'm pretty sure it's also the Eternal Flame's an idea. That's like their god.
Yeah, the Eternal Flame's like Church of the Eternal Flame. They're the bad dudes in Witcher 3. That you should absolutely not ever side with, and you should go out of your way to murder all of them.
Yeah, exactly. But then you have the White Flame, which is Amir Var Emrys.
Yeah, because when he's first introduced to
you...
Geralt in Witcher 3, Yennefer calls him the White Flame, dancing across the graves of his enemies.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good episode. I don't know what Yennefer does. Oh yeah, she's ambushed by that assassin with the
yeah, she's ambushed by the assassin, and she meets the baby, and then that sort of sets her down the path to be like, I want a kid because I want to feel important. And then the next episode is the episode where the two of them meet, and Geralt casts a wish to like bind the two of them together forever. Although Yennefer doesn't know this at the time. Yeah? Lachlan? Still there?
Alright, it's me.
Alright,
Sorry.
you're back. It's you.
Yeah.
So the next episode is where
We meet Jin.
Yaskia gets cursed by a Jin because of Geralt. And Geralt goes to Yennefer to break the curse, and then Yennefer ends up using the Jin to try and restore her fertility, which sort of becomes her quest for the last few episodes of the season, is that she wants to be able to have a kid. Because I think she says in the next episode that she wants to feel important, which like gives a lot of context to everything that she's done up to that point.
Yeah, she's done everything that makes her feel important, but she thinks that having a kid is the only thing that'll sate that appetite, really, which is very cool. And we also have the Doppler in this episode, which was weird. I don't know if you thought it was weird.
Weird dude.
Yeah, but I'm cool with it.
Look, it's fine. It's weird, but it's fine. Yeah, so Ciri runs into a Doppler that's impersonating Mousak. And she uses some clever trickery to realize to figure out that he's a Doppler.
Yes. Though for most of it, she was very trusting of him.
Yeah, because she's a naive, dumb kid. What do you expect?
Yes, but at least she was questioning it.
Which is like kind of her character.
The fact that she was learning is like, yes, okay, at least she's a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, I'm about it. And then, Geralt uses his wish.
Yeah, Geralt uses his wish to intertwine him and Yennefer forever. But that's Yennefer doesn't know.
No, not until later. And then we also have didn't the Doppler just like dip? Because he was like, oh man, she's a source. You didn't tell me that she was a source. Yeah.
I think he just like fucks off and it's like, fuck this.
Yeah, and some of these are all from, these are from a bunch of different books.
Yeah, because the first few Witcher books are all just like short stories about stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no like.
This is all the Last Wish. This whole story is just the Last Wish. It makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, there's no actual like chronological order to them, which is honestly like that's honestly kind of what the show does. Is that it just kind of like throws stories together in what order suits.
Yeah, because like Geralt and Yennefer have lived for like very long. But there's a lot of stories that are like hundreds of years apart. Most of these are a little different. Most of these stories are based the next episode we have to deal with a dragon, which I was like, the CGI on the dragon isn't.
It leaves a lot to be desired. The dragon doesn't show up for very long, which I think is probably its saving grace.
Yes, you can kind of deal with it. You can kind of be like, oh man, okay, it's a dragon. But yeah, I did not know the dragon could shapeshift.
I didn't either, to be honest. But then again, I don't think anyone did, because no one even knew that gold.
But I think it's a magic thing. I think it's a magic thing. But
yeah, probably. Honestly, so this is where like, Yennefer starts to piss me off, and I think she's supposed to irritate you. Like, you're supposed to recognize this as like a very immature thing to think. Also, the fact that the entire time she's climbing up this fucking mountain, she's wearing a goddamn fur coat. Like, what?
Oh, she doesn't.
Wardrobe department.
Like, look, she wears like a.
She's wearing like a fucking thick ass winter coat.
I don't think she cares about it. I don't think the coats mean anything to the witches. Like, that's why they can wear, like, almost nothing. Or they can wear many layers and it doesn't matter.
Let's go!
But yeah.
No, I think it's probably the second I saw her show up in that goddamn cloak, in that goddamn coat, I was like, what are you doing, woman? That's bonkers.
Yeah. It's interesting that she's there for her own reasons. I think the wish kind of brought Geralt into it.
Come on now.
Rather than the other
yeah, I
way
mean
around.
that's sort of the ever prevailing question is it just like, are they only in love because of like Jinn trickery, or is it like actually is it real
that's what
love?
I really liked about Witcher 3, is that you get to choose.
Yeah, you get to like definitively answer that question.
Yeah, but yeah, I chose no. I really felt that.
I chose
this
no
was the episode
a couple
that
of times. But now, like, I know after watching the TV series, I think in my PC playthrough, I want to send Ciri to Emir and do the Empress Ciri ending, and then partner up with Yennefer. Because I think the Empress Ciri ending is probably the truest ending to The Witcher.
The ending that makes the most sense, but it's not the ending that you want, but it's the ending that makes the most sense. But yeah,
so
Yennefer's friend dies, who was kind of funny. That was a good idea to have some comic relief in there. Geralt doesn't laugh once, which is very true to his character.
Yeah, dude, Geralt doesn't laugh. He's a Witcher. He's busy.
So now.
And then.
Yeah, so our fine trio go off to hunt a dragon. And it turns out the one who hired them to hunt the dragon is a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Yennefer finds out that Geralt did
bound their fates together
with the Jinn, and she gets real mad about it. And they have a dialogue about like children. And he's like, I chose not, like, you. He's like, you don't think I want to go back to Sintra and like claim my child surprise, but I recognize that like this is not the life for a child.
Yeah, and she's like, but I understand, because she's like, oh man, you're a hypocrite. You just said you can't have a child, yet you have one. And then she's like...
I mean, he didn't mean that. Like, even when he claims the law of surprise, he's like, I'm never going to be fucked back here anyway. I don't want this shit anyway.
Yeah. And he never really does come back. And unless, you know...
I mean, he does, but he only comes back when it is beneficial, when he thinks it is beneficial for Ciri to be with him over Calanthe.
Yeah.
And Calanthe isn't exactly fond of that idea. Where's this?
Which is...
Oh, is it? Oh, it's... Oh...
yeah, so this is also the episode where the Doppler kind of messes up, but yeah, we already talked about that.
Yeah, so then they have a row. Bitches are mad.
That stench.
Fringilla's still doing stuff. But yeah.
Are the Lodge of Sorceresses a thing in the book?
I don't know. I thought they were, but they don't seem to be a thing at the moment. And I think that might be a thing after the last episode, that they start creating the Lodge of Sorceresses. Of this show. That it's kind of a thing after that. But yeah, let's move on to the next episode, Before a Fall.
Which is the last episode of the season?
Second to last.
So this is when Geralt goes to Sintra and Queen's like, fuck you.
He invokes the law of surprise because he knows that Nilfgaard's about to invade. And then Calante is like, here's just a little blonde girl. And Geralt's like, this is not Ciri. And then he gets imprisoned. And then you kind of like, oh, this is where everything is.
And then it all kind of comes back together.
And then Yennefer goes to Aretuza, and they start planning what to do with Nilfgaard and
yeah,
Sintra
which I think like
vessels.
her dialogues with the teacher lady, whatever the fuck her name is.
Let's
So,
go.
Yeah, Tissaia is where that sort of like having a more extended story for her starts to pay off, because you empathize with their relationship.
Move it.
yeah,
Because you
With
see
the
it
relationship
from
between
like
those two, yeah.
from its beginning, and it's not just like something that is implied.
Hey, yeah.
yeah. I'm about it. There was a lot of interesting. That's more of what I was expecting the Witcher show to be, and they still delivered on it, and it was really good.
Also, Geralt tells Calanthe that Kaer Morhen was like sacked. Is that true, or is that a lie?
I didn't even hear anything about Kaer Morhen.
In the episode with Dooney, where he's at the feast with the Axeer, and he's sitting at the table. She asks him why there aren't more witches, and he's like, "It's been hard to make them after Kaer Morhen got besieged."
It was attacked in Witcher 1, and like all of the mutagens.
Yeah,
were
but that's
stolen.
all after the
Faster.
books.
I don't know.
And I have a hunch that he's lying. I have a hunch that's not true.
Hey, yeah.
Also, I thought it was interesting to see sort of a kind of subtle evolution of Calanthe as a character. Like, I think she's very different the first time, or sort of in the grander timeline, the first time you meet her, as she is to when you see her at the start of the season.
Who? Calante?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's a
That's
lot
fair.
more sort of brash and like childish and power hungry and kind of uncaring about the whole
Yeah, you can
shenanigans.
see like she's.
And then I think when you meet her for like, I guess the first time in the chronology of the show,
You kind of feel for her, but at the end you're like,
You
well,
sort of-
you've made the wrong decision. You're making the wrong decision.
she seems a lot like she's grown a lot more into like royalty, and she's like,
Yeah.
but she still made like a lot of real poor decisions.
Yeah. And Geralt is like, you're making the wrong decision here by offering up a fake Ciri. And then we also have Ciri's doing something in this episode as well. We didn't really talk about the forest. That wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the forest is just kind of like it's just sort of filler, if anything, like just sort of give Ciri a place to go and go, oh, Jesus, fuck, what have I walked into here?
I mean, you do learn that about Darkness, like past with Calate, and yeah, and how he doesn't like. I mean, elves like don't like him.
I mean, to be fair, the elves have
killed all
been
of the elves.
kind of fucked over. Let's be real here.
Yeah,
They got a good reason
I mean,
to not
that's-
like anyone.
there's a reason that they're the metaphor for they're the analogy.
I mean, basically, like every other race is the analogy.
That isn't human.
Because humans are
Welcome
just
to
like
the conjunction of the spheres.
basically a bag of dickholes to everyone that isn't. Like, they're a bag of dickholes to Geralt, and he's human-ish.
Yeah, he was human to begin with, and then they turned him into something different, like the humans did.
Actually, I think canonically the elves did it.
It was a mage.
Like, the elves came up with the idea for witches. Like,
But yeah, so the Brotherhood of the Mages stays neutral. Then a bunch of the mages, some other people, like Triss and Yennefer and Sabrina, and there was one other one. Like in the main cast. There was a couple more. Yeah, they go to, I forgot what the Sodden Hill.
Yeah, Sodden Hill, and they start prepping defenses
Reinforcing
for
that. And that's in
the
episode
Nilfgaard
8.
invasion.
Yeah, and then we have episode 8 where Nilfgaardians start attacking Sodden Hill, and basically it's all about Yennefer becoming the mega powerful witch, becoming someone important, I guess. And it's really interesting how they didn't go with lightning. I was like, you gave me this line right before she used fire.
Oh no, lock them.
So, but yeah, like at the beginning of the show, she uses lightning to attack Tisaya. And then at the end of the show, she's like, sometimes it's better for the lightning bottle to explode or something, but then she uses fire. I was like, dude.
No, she says sometimes the best thing a flower can do for us is fire.
No, the lightning. There's a lightning bottle quote in the last episode. Before she puts out the fire. The super death that kills everyone. But yeah. There was a lot of cool little magic nods, like how certain magic is not allowed. Certain magic will kill you. It was kind of filler. But yeah, it was like, oh, this is magic. This is how war is fought in the world of The Witcher. And then you have Geralt, who's like the Lord of Surprise.
Yeah, he's
with both of them.
He's real sick and having like I think he has a flashback to Vesemir.
I didn't see Vesemir.
I think he definitely mentioned that, like,
he says Vesemir.
He's having like flashbacks and shit and stuff's going crazy.
He had a flashback. I don't know what the witch's name is. His mother was a witch. From what I remember. Yeah, I don't know what his name is, but yeah, he was helping a dude out with ghouls.
Yeah, and then gets fucked up.
Gets bitten. Or attacked. Or sliced. The merchant helps him out, but he helped the merchant, and then the merchant's like, I can give you the lure of surprise. And Geralt's like, alright, yeah. And the lure of surprise, I think in the book, Ciri becomes like the fruits of the lure of surprise. Because he doesn't know that Ciri exists, and Ciri is technically his daughter at that point. The fact that Ciri ran into the woods is a bit of a...
That's from the books. That's directly book.
That's from the books?
So Ciri runs into the woods, and then he runs into the woods after her, and it's like destiny and shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is all about, like, destiny, and how everyone's kind of linked to everyone. But yeah. And then she asks, who is Yennefer, which is more like it's more like a yeah. This is all about destiny and how everyone's interconnected.
Why did she know Yennefer?
She had a dream. I imagine it's a source thing. It's like an elder blood thing.
What's going on there?
But yeah, apparently Yennefer just like disappears after she does the fire thing. I did not see that. I don't know if you saw that the second time.
Nah, I didn't.
I'm reading the synopsis here.
That's probably a good idea, to be honest. I'm playing The Witcher. Dude, honestly, this is like, this series has got me back into The Witcher.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Witcher when I get back. I'm gonna finish the other two Witcher games that I have.
Dude, I would not recommend. That's a choice, that is. Those games are rough. Witcher 1 is basically just a mod for like some like medieval fantasy game. Oh,
yeah, it's a great game. And talking about that, we should move on.
We've been going for about an hour now, so we could even call it here and save that for next week.
Do you want to save it for next week?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, like, I assume there's not going to be much going on until February, like 2020.
Next
So,
week
like-
is in the new year. I think we should.
Yeah,
I think
so-
we should finish off this. This is the last of this year, so we should probably of this decade. So I guess we should. Do you want to go through with it?
I mean-
with the plan, or do we want to save it for next week?
I reckon save it next week, and hopefully
Yeah.
you will have seen Rise of Skywalker next week, and then we can have in-depth discussion about Rise of Skywalker. Are you back home next week?
We can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, welcome to Woefully Underprepared, and goodbye.
Yo, that joke has never been funny. Like, you get shitty at me for making your mum jokes. That's the
Every single
equivalent.
week.
Except it's less amusing, because you actually think it's funny.
Yeah, it's the welcome to the Woefully Underprepared at the end of the Woefully Underprepared.
Yeah, so my Twitter will be in the description.
Same.
I'll put in a link to the IMDb score for not IMDb. There will be links. There will be sources to everything we've said that is actual factual information, and can be given a source for.
Also, just like real quick aside, I was watching interviews with Henry Cavill talking about The Witcher, and he seems so excited about it. Like he's
You don't
the
believe it?
biggest nerd.
Who wouldn't be?
Like it was just about playing The Witcher, which is really cool. But yeah, welcome to the Woefully Underprepared podcast, and good night.
Yeah. As I say, links to everything will be in the description. This will probably come out on YouTube. I want to say Monday. I could be wrong about that though.
I'm gonna say Tuesday.
I honestly need to get back onto recording more episodes of Reckon. I've literally not even played Gambit once this season.
Probably worth it. Gambit's bad.